welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the film Tom and Jerry. Now this is a live action animated computer slapstick comedy film, which is like a mixture of like actual Tom and Jerry being animated like we used to seeing them, but at the same time it's like mixed in with like live action like film, you know, just like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like those kind of films. Cause when I first saw that they was doing this, I was kind of like, you know, why do they have to do it like that? Why couldn't it be just like a straight up computer animated Tom and Jerry film or something like that, you know? But they actually had to mix them up again with like live action like actors. But it turns out to be a pretty okay film. Now this film stars Shirley Grace Moretz and Michael Pena, and it's also directed by Tim Story. Now the film itself, at times it really does seem like it's actually focused on the character played by Chloe, and her name is Kayla. Now I must admit I was kind of surprised at some of the things that her character did. Like she actually conned her way into like this hotel, which is actually going to be hosting like the wedding event of the century. I think that's what they were saying, where these two, like this woman and this man, are getting like married, and I think it's supposed to be like the actual like marriage or the wedding or something like that of the century at this hotel. But Chloe, her character Kayla, actually cons her way into the hotel and becomes like the wedding planner. Now the way she did it, I thought was just like bad. I couldn't believe that she did that, you know. So I was surprised that her character was actually like that. But at the same time, you have Michael Pena, who plays Terrence, and he's like the event manager of the hotel, which is known as the Royal Gate Hotel. And he's actually Kayla's boss, so he's actually telling her what to do and so on. Then you have like these other characters like the groom, played by the character name is Ben. He's played by Colin Jost. And you also have this other one's like Prita, and she's the bride, and she's played by Pavawa Sharda. I think that's how you pronounce it. But those are the two that's actually getting married. Now I don't want to touch on all them characters because the film itself really is like Tom and Jerry. Now they're in the film, and the way they end up at the hotel was kind of odd, because at the same time you actually got to look at this animation that's actually a mix of live action footage, which they have done before, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and so on, films like that. But the way they end up at the hotel was kind of odd. They're actually like fighting at each other, so they get like a conflict, and you could tell they actually have the film designed in a way where they actually first met for the first time. They didn't know each other, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Like Tom and Jerry didn't know each other at all; they just actually met. And in this world that the film is in, animated characters, or you could say cartoon characters, are okay with actually like live, actually like real human people. There's like nothing going on there, so you could tell that's like this actual own like world or universe. You know, they don't get like an explanation for why animated characters are existing like in the real world. It's just actually they're this universe. But the way they end up at the hotel is kind of odd. And this Jerry who actually makes his way inside the hotel, and he be actually eating food and stealing like food and all that kind of stuff, caused like a mess, you know. And that's where Chloe comes in, and she discovers like Tom the cat, and she decides to put Tom in charge of taking out Jerry. So I just leave it at that. And at the same time, like I said, they had this huge wedding going on at the hotel too. But at the same time, you can't forget what her character, Chloe characters did, known as Kayla. What she did, she actually conned her way into like the hotel. And I was surprised that she had did that, because you could tell when the film opens, she does have trouble getting like jobs and so on, you know. So she ends up conning her way into this hotel. So I thought that was still something kind of interesting about the actual character that she plays like in the film. But yeah, they had like a bunch of like, I must admit, there's like moments where it's like funny when it's like Tom and Jerry. They do like some moments where I was like laughing, you know, when it was like them like fighting or at each other. But a lot of times I feel like it just really couldn't take off. I feel like it has some pacing issues, and at the same time it does like it's really focused on the human like characters of the film, you know. But Tom and Jerry are there, you know, but it does like it's really focused on what's going on with like Kayla, like Terrence, and all them kind of characters, you know. So yeah, in the end of Tom and Jerry, I thought it was a pretty decent film. I thought it could have been better. It just really couldn't take off. And if it really focused on Tom and Jerry, I believe it really could have took off. It really just kept it really focused on them, truly focused like on them most of the time. I think it really would have took off. But some of the animated effects that they had mixed with the live action did look pretty cool. Like whenever they get into like a fight, you know, I forget the dog's name because they even had like that pit bull dog with Tom and Jerry. When they get onto fights, it'd be like spinning, like twirling around like a tornado, and it's like animated. Now I must admit that did look pretty cool, like the effects of that, because they got it mixed in with like live action, like footage, stuff like that did look pretty cool. But in the end, Tom and Jerry, I'm giving this just a C. Like I said, I believe it could have been better. I thought it was fun. I thought Chloe, it was pretty good in her role as Kitty. I was surprised at the stuff that her character was doing. It wasn't just conning her way to the hotel. It was other stuff that she was doing that make her sound the villain. You know, like almost like she was the antagonist of the film. She was kind of like bad, but she still was like the good character of the film. But in Tom and Jerry, I'm giving this a straight up C. Please leave a comment and subscribe too as well.